In this video, I'm going to be talking to two groups or two groups of people. I'm going to be talking to you, and I'm going to be talking about the others or they. So this is about etiquette. Now, what is etiquette? Etiquette is politeness, it's respect, it's if you are new to the channel, welcome to you. And this is Friday. On Friday, we do master classes about one topic or the other in more detail so that you can make notes, so that you can practice something, etc. We deal with wheelchairs and wheelchair users from topics from A to Z. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found us. And I'm hoping you will stick around for other videos. Let's get back to the video. I would say respect is kind of like the bottom line with etiquette and in the proper way too. Proper way, respectful way, gentle way. So that's what etiquette is. And you might have some expectations, and the people around you might have completely different expectations of what respect means for people or a person in a wheelchair. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're just going to break it down and make sure that, you know, it makes sense for you and it makes sense for, because I'm going to be talking about your family members and I might be talking directly to them. And I'll also be talking to you as a wheelchair user. So I'll try to make that difference so you know when I'm talking to you in terms of, you know, your position as a wheelchair user and things that you have the right to ask, that you have the right to do. So there are quite a few things in this list that you maybe let go of because you thought that that's the way it needed to be. And it could be very different if you chose to change that. So, you know, today's a big one, you know, wheelchair etiquette, you know, whether your family, a friend, or a stranger in public or while you're traveling, you know, the way you treat someone, the way others treat someone in a wheelchair makes a huge difference, you know, in terms of that social interaction. So let's break it down with real stories, do's and don'ts that are important, and some simple etiquette that everyone should know. Some simple etiquette. Now, you might have already worked this through, but maybe not. So, you know, your expectations of others, maybe you don't have any expectations. And maybe it's important for you to begin to think of what you would like to for other people to, or how you would like them to treat you. All right, so why wheelchair etiquette matters for you. Etiquette isn't about being over polite. It isn't. It's about respect. And that's the word I used at the very beginning, respect. Your wheelchair is part of your personal space, your body, how you function. You know, it's a real critical part of your life. Treating it right, treating you right is really important. You know, when I first got my second wheelchair, this power wheelchair here in this institution, you know, everybody had their opinion, their ideas on what I should do with the power wheelchair, where I should park it, how I was going to handle it. I said, whoa, time out. What's going on here? well, you need to park it outside of your bedroom. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Why is that? because it might start on fire. Huh? No, wait a minute. This is not a bomb. Power wheelchair is, has a proof record already. We're safe. No problem. Well, when are you going to use this? I don't want you using it. Huh? What? So, we had to sort all of that out from the very beginning. And it was a little bumpy, but we got there. We got there. So, and with the members here, I talked to them quite a few times in the beginning, so they would be careful not to stand behind me without telling me they were there. That I would always be looking behind me if I needed to back up, but to let me know as well. Hanging on the wheelchair, or those just little details. So, for someone to lean on your chair feels like, I don't know. I think sometimes they do it to feel like they're my best buddies or something. I don't know. But I did ask them not to do that as well. So that's etiquette. I don't know what your expectations or how you feel about your wheelchair and how you want them to interact with you. But we're going to look at some things. Now I'm going to be talking to your family directly about family etiquette. So ask how you can help the person in the wheelchair. Don't assume that you need to do X, Y, Z. So ask how you can help. Don't take over tasks without asking, like pushing without permission. There are certain tasks that the wheelchair user already can do. So you want to ask, how can I help you today? How can I help you this morning? How can I help you at this moment? And just wait for the wheelchair user to respond. Do respect independence. The more independent the wheelchair user can be, the better. So celebrate what your loved one can do. Celebrate that. If they make another step or they begin to do something else by themselves, that is a triumph. Don't use the wheelchair as a storage or shelf for bags or coats or clothing. No, that's not a good thing. The wheelchair is an extension of your loved one. It needs to remain clean. It needs to remain clear of objects in case the wheelchair user needs to hop in really quick and go do something, or there's an emergency in the house and they need to get into the wheelchair. They don't want to spend precious moments taking a box off or clothes off or whatever was dumped on there. So you need to really be respectful of the wheelchair. All right, now we're talking about strangers. And this one's really hard because strangers, you have already your expectations and what you've discussed with your family. But strangers out there have weird ideas about wheelchair users. And some of them have been educated and some have not. So here you go. Those are the unpredictable situations that you run into in the public. So the one thing you can request, these are things you can request from the strangers. So now I'm talking to the strangers, okay? I'm flipping here. So do speak directly to the person in the wheelchair. Not to their companion. So speak directly to the person in the wheelchair, include them in the conversation. Don't touch the wheelchair. There's no need for you to touch the wheelchair. If you're a doctor or a nurse, ask for permission if you need to move it. Don't touch it ever without permission. That's really critical. Even if you're a nurse or, sometimes we're in hospitals and all of a sudden they're taking my wheelchair away and say, hey, I didn't give you permission to do that. So that's really important. Do offer to help politely and accept gracefully. Offer to help politely and accept no gracefully. So if they say no, no is okay. Don't sweat it. Don't think you've been rejected by, the Prince of Egypt. No is okay. So if they say no, they'll take care of it. So this is to the strangers, okay? Don't make comments like, you're so inspiring just for being out. We're out all the time. Back in the day, it was believed that people with disabilities should stay home and not be seen, not come to school. They slow things down. They were not teachable. So this is where some people come from. So it is a matter of educating. Again, make comments like don't make comments like you're so inspiring just for being out. That is the old way of thinking. And you can respond politely by saying, I'm out all the time. I'm not locked up at home. The disabled, we're not locked up anywhere anymore. We go to school, we do our groceries, we clean our own homes, we get married, we have children, so the perception of a person with a disability has changed for the last 10, 15 years, I would say. So let's bring that to the surface if that comment comes around. And that's for you, the wheelchair user. This is where it is so critical. There might be other things, other expectations, other struggles you might have with your family that Auntie May feels like she needs to do everything for you when she's at the house, or when you go visit your grandparents, they're running around in circles trying to do everything. And it's important for them to know about your independence, about the things that you can do and not do. And if you don't speak up and say something about the things you do by yourself now, they won't know. And they'll make weird mistakes or weird comments or try to do things that you don't want. So really important that communication back and forth, either with your family or with strangers or with your wife or with your cousin or with, so your relationships are dependent on how you relate as well. So you have a little bit of homework to do. If you're a strong introvert, I realize that it's hard to say those things. You just kind of let things slide, and that will just say, well, there's no etiquette here. People can do what they want. And you have to be convinced, no, they shouldn't do what they want. This is my life. This is my situation in the wheelchair. And it's important for me to really make sure that people understand, my situation, what I feel like is important. So that is etiquette, my friend. Here I had to work on etiquette, and still there are some details that I have to work on. But for the most part, people respect my independence and the things I can do. People know the things that I cannot do. So they are there. They just let me know they're there to help me if I need something, to let them know. And I appreciate that. So, and I have some medical stuff that coming up that might limit me a little bit more. I'm hoping not, but, So what do we take away from all this? Wheelchair etiquette really comes down to one word, and that is respect, and I would say communication, and respecting independence and communication. I can't stress that enough. Respect space, respect the person in the wheelchair, not just the chair. You're not an object. So whether you're family, a friend, or a stranger, these small actions build a more inclusive world. So that's why your communicating, your educating is vital in the process of etiquette. Now it's your turn. Drop your etiquette tips, your ideas, how you worked out etiquette in your home, in your school, in your job, out in public, or your worst don't moments in the comments. I'm sure there were moments where it's like, no. Let's make this resource everyone can learn from. It's a community. Again, we're building resources, we're building information for people in wheelchairs, so your sharing is just as important. And don't forget to like if this video was helpful to you, and subscribe if you are new to the channel and you would like to hear more videos on these topics. And, hang around with World Wheelchair Warriors. See you in the next one.